So you don't have a drummer for your next service. Here are 10 ideas on what you can do if you don't have a drummer. In this What If series, we're going to be looking at a common challenge that many people in small and growing churches face, and that's one of limited resources. If you're involved in a small and growing church, there'll be plenty of times that you find yourself short of a particular instrument or musician. We don't have the luxury of a huge worship team or a full-time professional band. All we really have are the volunteers that are part of our church, and we thank God for them. But just like me, I'm sure there have been times where you've had to ask the question, what do I do if I have no fill in the blank? Whether it be a drummer, guitar player, keyboard player, or whatever, there are times we have to be flexible. Today, we're going to aim to answer the question, what to do if I have no drummer? Here are 10 ideas to consider. The first 5 are looking at alternative instruments to replace a drummer, and the other 5 are some other ideas you might want to consider. So let's get stuck in. So the first idea is something we've been talking about quite a lot on this channel, and that's the idea that you can use technology to replace a live drummer. And of course, I'm talking about tracks. This is where we use software like Prime or Ableton or anything else where we can replace a live drummer with electronic track. That means we need to have a backing track, we need to be playing with ears and to click, but it's a great way of directly replacing a live drummer, but it does limit you and restrict you from being free to roam around. It does keep you to the structure of the track or the ability of your team to have software that can manipulate the track. The next idea is to look at an alternative to a drummer, is to replace a full drum kit with a smaller percussion item like a cajon. These are often called box drums, but they're really simple to use. Acoustic guitar players, keys players are often very comfortable playing a cajon. They're simple to pick up, but they make a wonderful addition to a band to provide percussion, and we use them a lot when we have smaller services and smaller teams as well. So definitely one to consider for your team. Third idea would be to replace a full drum kit and a drummer with another piece of percussion, but one that can be played by a singer or an acoustic guitar player or even a keyboard player, and that's a stomp box. I've got one here. This is my one. This is a small little item. Can actually plug in to a PA system as well, but essentially it's just a way of being on the floor with your foot, and you can tap out a rhythm and it will play that percussive sound through a PA to replace the kick drum of a normal drum. So that's a stomp box. Number 4, we're now getting a bit more creative with these alternative instruments to a full drummer. And here's one you might want to try, and it's this. It's a click track. That metronome sound you might have playing in your ear if you're playing to click, those can be set to have the sound of a stick clicking or something percussive or a marimba, and that actually might fit quite well with what you're doing and provide some tempo and some energy to the song that you're playing. So consider using a click track, not just in your ear, but in fact through your speakers. And the 5th and final one for an alternative instrument to a drummer is going old school. So I'm talking about clapping. You might want to lead your congregation in clapping to provide the energy that's required. And of course, as the band, you're going to have to lead by example. So have your vocalists and others to clap to get guys enjoying the service and to provide percussion and tempo to what you're doing. So on to some other creative ideas on what you can do if you have no drummer. Number 6 is you could ask your musicians to play percussively. So what do I mean by that? I mean your acoustic guitar player, making sure they're strumming rhythmically and they're strumming a lot. They're not choosing to pick anymore. They're going to be giving strong strumming. They're building in the way that they strum. Or maybe your keys player is now playing a bit more rhythmically, maybe with the left hand, laying down some rhythm with their left hand as well. But asking your other instruments to compensate and provide rhythmic percussive sounds as opposed to just having the drummer do that. So percussive playing. Now these next 3, numbers 7, 8 and 9, all revolve around creative problem solving to the idea that you don't have a drummer for this week. And some of these might sound really simple and obvious, but actually this is the last thing that we actually action as worship leaders. So number 7, a solution to ask if you have no drummer is to find more musicians. This is a great prompt to invite people in the congregation to say, hey, actually, is there anyone who's been sitting on talent or ability? We want you to come forward because there's an obvious need in our congregation for someone to play drums. So don't look past the opportunity to invite people in. Some people are a bit shy coming forwards, and this is just the invitation that they need. Number 8. You might have people that have got lots of enthusiasm, want to volunteer, but don't necessarily have this skill at the moment. So another solution, if you have no drummers, is to think about training people. Take time out to train people to play drums. Start them on easy things, keep things simple and distraction-free. But this is a great opportunity to encourage growth in the members in your congregation so that you can grow new drummers to bless you and whatever church those people end up in the future as well. And number 9, you might have musicians that have extra capacity but don't know how to play drums or the percussion. And so what you can actually do is to consider retraining. Taking an acoustic guitar player and teaching them to play cajon, or if you've got a cajon player, teaching them to play the drums, taking someone that already knows music, knows rhythm, and just retrain them and challenging them to grow in a different area is another way to grow drummers in your band. And lastly, number 10, probably the most controversial of all of these, is an idea what to do if you have no drummer is to chill out. I think that God is pleased with worship with or without a drummer. And sometimes we make things an essential when they're not meant to be essential. And a good question to ask is what will happen if we don't have a drummer in our services? Now, of course, the drummers add and improve musically our time of worship. Sure, they create a certain atmosphere, they bring energy into the room. But the idea that we must have a drummer for us to have good worship is simply not true. And so I want to challenge our thinking about what we consider to be good or acceptable worship. Nowhere in Scripture does it say that you must have a drummer as part of your time of worship. So relieve yourself of that pressure as well. So that's our 10 ideas on what to do if we have no drummer. We're going to tackle some of the other instruments, asking the same question, what happens if we have no blank? And you can check a next video here by clicking on the next video.